Welcome to Share, Connect, Heal, the space where first responders and high-stress professionals lay bare their battles, where vulnerability becomes strength, and where shared stories are emotional lifelines. Let's listen, connect, and embark on a healing journey together.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Share, Connect, Heal. This is our first season and our first episode. And we want to talk today a little bit about ourselves and our background and what we want to accomplish with this podcast. So we hope you guys can tune in and join us. And so just a really quick thing. So Justin and I, he's my co-host here, and you'll get to know him in a second. We both were like 18 years old and living in a fire station together. So we go back really long. And we kind of went different paths, and he's a nurse, and he'll tell you more about that. So Justin, I don't know if you remember this, but how long has it been since we've been on the mic together, would you say?
It's been a few years.
Like
2-3 years.
We used to do make beats at our station. I remember that, late nights. And what was that? What was the program we were using?
Logic
for
Mac. Yeah.
That was fun. So I don't know if you remember this as well, but a couple years ago in Boise, I was over there for a firefighter conference, and so we had a good time, and we hadn't seen each other in a long time, and we reconnected, and it was just like yesterday. I don't know if the viewers would want to see this, but there is an entire bar being serenaded by Justin and I. Do you remember what song we sang though?
I do.
What was it?
Backstreet Boys.
Yes.
Something.
Which song?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
And
that.
you reassured me. He's like, I'm just gonna sign you up for some karaoke. And
I think it's a lot like our podcast, right? Like we just came up with this idea and we're like, let's do it. So it's a lot like our podcast is gonna be.
Yeah, in a bar full of union firefighters.
There were a handful of ladies in there, but it was predominantly as you'll see, men, and a lot of cheering gentlemen who were absolutely loving the performance. So Justin, I'm looking forward to continuing being on the mic together.
Yeah, man.
So I think it would be awesome, for you to kind of talk about like what we want to accomplish as a podcast, and then kind of go into your story, if you don't mind being vulnerable with us. And then I'll hop in and tell everybody about myself, and then we'll sign off.
Yeah, sounds great. So my name's Justin. I'm a nurse. I've been a registered nurse for about 10 years now. My specialty is more like cardiac stuff. So I've worked on telemetry floors, and I currently work in a cardiac recovery unit, recovering people out of the cath lab. What I see for this podcast is bringing professionals together, kind of offload kind of some of their burdens, what they have to go through. It's nice to talk with my coworkers on these kind of things, and it kind of makes you realize that we're all kind of in the same boat, and the tolls our job takes on us are
real quick,
pretty similar.
You said something interesting, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but I just kind of want to know a little bit more about it. You said you talk about it. I know in the fire service, like when we first started, you remember like they would say like, shut up and, suck it up. Your feelings don't matter, right? Like you just dealt with it, right? You bottled everything. Yeah. But so you guys are, as nurses, talking together, huh? About mental health?
I got a few nurses that I feel comfortable talking with. I got a really good buddy I work with pretty much every shift, who has drastically changed my outlook on life in general. He's been a pretty profound, I call him my guru. He's been kind of my spiritual leader, getting me through some hard times. And we've kind of developed outside of our coworker bond, a group of nurses, uh, male nurses. It's called a men's group, and the idea of the men's group is to connect on a level that maybe is getting lost in our society. Men meeting together for, ritualistic kind of get-togethers, which has been happening, tribes for thousands of years.
Yeah, definitely.
Um,
Don't you think we've kind of lost that like tribe like I'm in Costa Rica right now, and I would say like the thing that I've noticed most, a
mhm.
difference between the US and then Costa Rica is that sense of community and connection is very strong here. And I didn't
Yeah,
have that. And we had really good friends next door, but like I didn't have that. Like have you noticed that as well? Like up where you're at? Like, or is this an issue or what?
uh, big time. Yeah, that's something I'm struggling with. The city I've lived in off and on for about 10 years, I used to feel really connected to the community, and it's since grown. A sense of that has been lost. And Libby, my wife, and I are trying to figure out our next step. And our number one requirement is, where's a good community
Mhm.
that we can feel we're part of? Because it
Absolutely.
does feel good,
Yeah,
to be
absolutely. And then you
involved.
have somebody who's got your back, right? Like I know
Yeah,
that me and you have been very open with our struggles and whatnot. And I always appreciate that. And so like having that connection, that's the whole point of our podcast, right? It's like share how you're
yeah,
feeling, right? Like let's get stuff off of our chest. Do it with
yeah.
somebody you trust, and that connection piece, like how powerful like connection is. And so I'm really excited to see who we can get on here and really talk about that. I don't know any, like it'd be kind of cool. There's this gal, have you ever heard of Brene Brown?
No.
So if she's watching, she's awesome. So she's like does a lot of
Mhm.
vulnerability talks, and so she's really good. So anybody watching, go pick up a Brene Brown book, it's great. When I
Cool.
was struggling, I read, that was the first book I read when I went into inpatient, and
Mhm.
it was super profound. And like the power of vulnerability, and that's really what it is, of like connecting with people, right? It's like truly being vulnerable instead of being superficial.
Yeah, I have to agree with that statement.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really excited too. Last weekend was my birthday weekend. Wish you could have made it. We're
Nice.
all out at Kevin's
Oh,
for the
sweet.
weekend, and like everybody showed up and surprised me. It's pretty cool. But
Hey, real quick, you
yeah,
remember when we were river rafting? And so we were going
yeah,
down the river, and Dale, who now works, where's Dale? He's like Santa Fe Fire, I believe, in
yeah.
New Mexico.
Hmm.
Dale was our savior when we rolled up to this campsite and just absolutely hucked this rattlesnake out of our campsite, but
Oh yeah,
very small.
yeah. Right where we had to set up our tents was a rattlesnake. So Dale,
Oh,
yeah, was the
God.
hero that.
I think we could go on and on about our stories, but we only got a limited time, so I guess I won't go too deep in those. But sorry, I get on
Yeah,
my
definitely.
tangents.
Yeah, and I was talking a lot about what you've been up to, and it was pretty cool. It kind of sparked conversation about mental health between our friend group, which hasn't really been the case before. Um, and a lot of our friend groups are going through some stressful times, some career changes. They all have kids. Um, So I think you should talk to all of them as well. I mean,
Absolutely.
Dale, Kevin, Boyd.
Yep.
I think that uh, be
Yeah, and
worthwhile.
just for reference, those are all our buddies from back in the day when we were like 18. I think Kevin and Justin and I go back actually to high school. And
Mhm.
then afterwards, like as residents, in good old Mason County. Um,
Yeah,
Gosh, man, those are good times. Yeah, I mean, I think it's awesome what you guys are doing, Justin. And I think, there's a lot of similarities I'm finding out that, nurses, doctors, pilots, lawyers, anybody with really a license has to worry about going to seek mental health care, because they could potentially, a good example, a pilot reached out to me and he's like, hey, because I've been very open with my story, and he's like, hey, what about pilots? Like, we go through the same thing. And I'm like, really? Tell me more, right? And so like
Yeah,
they are the sole breadwinner for their family, hypothetically speaking, right? And they get paid hourly. So if they're grounded, they might not make any money for their family. So
oh
it
really?
prevents them from seeking care. Yeah. So super interesting. And that like was kind of for me too, because when I in 2019, when I had my suicide attempt, I, you know, my wife came in and interrupted that. And I'm glad she did. And I'm here today talking about this. And I had two really like impactful things. And so when I had my suicide attempt in 2019, I was so worried that I was going to lose my job, like so worried.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Christina, don't call anybody. And like, luckily we were
Mm,
living with our friend Johnny and Lacey, and Lacey was there to like help me out and help Christina out. And then eventually like getting a peer support team member. Sorry, we're in Costa Rica. There's a bug. Um,
yeah.
Having a peer support team member, which is what we kind of do. And it sounds like what you guys are doing in the hospital, to come out and be by my side was like so impactful when I was struggling. And
Yeah.
so I recognize the value of our peers who understand what we go through. And it's really hard for me to understand what a nurse goes through. And it's even harder if you're the general public, because I can at least understand a little bit. I've
Hmm.
worked with them for years, but yeah, it's just really messed up, how much stigma there is surrounding, mental health.
Yeah. Um, it is, it is kind of weird. Um, but we just gotta figure out a different way. Peers are a huge deal, in the workplace, and you know, who you're even down to who you're on shift with that day, makes a big difference in how your day goes. But I mean, that's not always guaranteed. And you're not always guaranteed to have that, what I call my guru. I just got lucky, really.
Yeah.
So it'd be nice if there was a way to have something, anybody could access, um, without having to get lucky and have somebody that cares enough to help you.
Yeah. And I think like, I know like when I've struggled, I don't know about you, um, it's really hard to actually reach out for help. Right. And
Yeah. Oh yeah.
you kind of get in these, and for those people wondering, I have PTSD and depression I've struggled with for a handful of years. And you feel like so isolated, like nobody cares. And like, yet I know that like you care about me and I care about you, right? Like, so we're gonna be there for each other. And I don't make that step because it feels super uncomfortable. And so what I had to learn is that like anything that feels uncomfortable when it comes to mental health means that you need to do it. So if you don't want to get out of your room, you need to do it. If you don't want to go out of
Yeah.
your house and in public, you need to do it. Like go
Yeah.
against what feels good. I don't know if you've ever been through something like that.
Yeah. I mean, definitely struggle with, motivation at times. And, um, when I wouldn't want to go hang out with friends, it'd be a lot easier. I could at least get myself to be around family, just to have somebody around. Um, but yeah, just that kind of call to action kind of deal. One thing I've been using lately, I don't, we'll have to look up who actually is coining this, but there's a 5 4 3 2 1 go. I don't know if you've come across that at all in any of your.
What is that?
Uh, it's just kind of a tool. So if you're like sitting there thinking about doing something or like dreading to do something,
Hmm.
uh, actions on go, and you count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go, and then you get up and move.
That's
And
awesome. That's a new tool.
yeah,
I've never heard of that one.
yeah, there's something about it. It just kind of like, the countdown kind of like resets you, and then just like, uh, and you can just use it for little things like get off the couch and do dishes. You know,
Yeah.
after
Oh, that's hard.
after this commercial, it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go, and I literally say it out loud and then get up.
Yeah,
It
sometimes
helps.
I have to say it up out loud, right? Like, I
Hmm.
kind of use something similar. It's called stop. And it's more for, like with PTSD, you can kind of be reactionary, like screaming for me. Like when my kids scream, it's like, like I hate screaming.
Oh
And
wow, okay.
like I like tranquiloness, right? And so sometimes like I'll want to like react and I have to tell myself in my head or out loud, like stop. And then that allows your brain to kind of process that real quick. Like, is my
Mm,
action I'm about to do going to cause a reaction for my kids? And
right.
I fail at it all the time, don't get me wrong, but I've just found that as a good tool. So it kind of seems similar as just taking an action, right? Like
Hmm.
get doing what you're not doing, and
Yeah,
be healthy. Yeah.
that's a good that is a good one. I'll have to try that.
Just be careful where you're yelling stop,
I-
because like I don't
Stop.
know, like you're like walking through the airport, you're like stop. Like, you know, people are gonna look at you like
Yeah,
crazy. But I mean, I kind of am crazy, right? Like I don't know. We just decided like
nothing
last week
wrong
to
with that.
start a podcast, so like whatever, let's do it. So it'll be fun.
Yeah,
Well, Justin, it's been awesome. I think it's been a fun talk. Good intro for our listeners. If you're
yeah,
listening,
man.
we appreciate you. And if you want to share, connect, and heal, feel free to email me at andrew@ciento.io, and we can get you guys scheduled. We're happy to talk to first responders, nurses, doctors, pilots, lawyers, anybody who's directly affected where you could potentially lose your occupation due to mental illness. We would love to talk to you. Or if you're somebody who's struggling with mental health and you want to share your story to help somebody else, please reach out to us. And make sure you go check us out on TikTok and YouTube Shorts. And we'll have a lot of content on there, and hopefully provide you guys all with some educational and as well as learning from other people and hearing from their stories. So thanks, Justin. I'm super pumped to be doing this with you, and let's crush it.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, man.
Yeah,
It's been
let's do
great.
it. All right.